morning. It is the Going On Daily Live morning show. I'm guessing we're filling in for Ira and Lena. Although, JP, you were scheduled because Lena has like a DJing gig.
Right, right.
So the original plan was to have you with both of them. And here we are.
Here we are.
Ira, I guess, is ill. So I'm filling in for Ira. You are here. We got a great show together, for sure. For sure. Right. I cannot wait for one of your topics. And that is the Montana Native American legends. I really, really am interested in that. That is going to be fantastic. You got a little bit of talk about A River Runs Through It, book/movie.
Right.
You know, ever since Robert Redford passed away, we've had several stories about Robert Redford, you know, pop up throughout the week. And this is just another one of those, and I can't wait for that as well. JP, I got a top 5 for you.
Okay.
Now, Becky, I hope, is going to be watching today because it is going to be awesome. And I'm sure she'll just be thrilled with one of the items on the top 5. But there's a couple of surprises in this one for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot wait for that. Let's get it all started with headlines. And, you know, this is basically what's going on today, right?
Right.
I woke up and I'm like, oh, okay, Ira's out. I got to fill in. What am I going to do? And the first thing I did was look at the headlines. And then I thought, why not incorporate all of them?
Yeah.
So I did. So it's just the headlines, and we'll talk a little bit about each one of them. So the first one that caught my eye, which I am now looking into seeing if I'm getting something for this, Amazon agrees to a $2.5 billion settlement over the Prime lawsuit. It has to do with these $139 memberships.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. If you're paying $139 for Prime, you're getting screwed.
Well, it's where I live. It's a necessary cost. You know, there's not a store that you can go and buy clothes at in my town. I mean, there's a Walmart, but it's an hour's drive. There's no Costco's. There's no, you know, there's small boutiques that are like locally owned by certain people and stuff like that. You know, I bought a motorcycle a while back, and if I need a motorcycle helmet, gloves, this, that, but anything, it's sort of, you know, when you live out in the middle of nowhere, you kind of have to do it all by, you know, either Amazon Prime, the Walmart shopping, you know, that kind of stuff.
So do you have Prime?
I do.
Do you pay that much money for it?
I think I just switched yesterday to the annual instead of the monthly. But yeah, I have Prime, and then it comes with the Prime Video, and then I also do Audible. That's what I do all the audiobooks that I listen to on, but Audible, you know, has its own fee. But I made a purchase last year that more than compensated for the cost of the membership of Prime. You know, I ended up
it does pay for itself.
I put a lift in my pickup. Yeah, I put a lift in my pickup, and so my tires on my pickup were almost bald, you know, or down far enough to where I was needing new tires sooner or later, and wintertime was coming and all that stuff. And the tires that I wanted, I could order on Prime, and they cost me like $1,200 to go to the local tire shop and get their top of the line tire that would, you know, be the same size, the same essentially tire, just different manufacturer, I was looking at $1,800 minimum. And so I saved $600 on that one purchase.
Right. Yeah. So it does work. So let me tell you this. If you're paying that much money for Prime, you got to look into this lawsuit, because you might be entitled to getting money back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about $51 per person. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but $50 can go a long way.
Right. And when I started Prime, I think it was like $60-$70 a month, a year. You know, I mean, every year it's obviously keeps going up the more they employ people, and then greed and capitalism and some of these other things. But I mean, the Walmart shipping deal doesn't cost any different. The Walmart, if you do the Walmart, you know, the same sort of Prime deal that Walmart has set up, I don't think their yearly contract is much different. If you have a Costco card, I think you're paying about the same. I mean, but at least with Prime, you know, you have access to the, you know, Reacher and The Boys and some of the shows that they put on, Alex Cross, and and so I mean, and I don't really watch TV. And so like the streaming, I have a couple streaming things that either come with my cell phone or come with Prime, you know, stuff like that. And so the couple streaming deals I have, the shows that I do enjoy watching are on the ones that I have, but they come with something else. You know, I'm not just paying. The Prime monthly membership to me isn't really that much more expensive than what people are paying for Disney Plus. So
I think Prime is actually better than Disney Plus.
Right.
I mean,
but if you have Netflix subscription, you're paying $20 a month. So
yeah, I mean, if you have children, Disney Plus is a good way to go, right? I mean, you get the Disney movies, right? Don't you?
Yeah. Well, you get the Disney, you get the Marvel. It also has Hulu, and it has ESPN. I don't sit around and watch sports anymore, so the ESPN doesn't really. It's not a factor. Hulu has a lot of shows that I enjoy, but they're shows that were made somewhere else that are now on Hulu, because they have all of FX's shows, and some of those things. And then there's a couple of Canadian shows that I watch all the time.
Becky would love to hear that.
Yeah, and then Disney's become one of those things that I really monitor of what my daughter watches on Disney, because they push so much stuff on little kids that I don't agree with. And so it's, you know, some of these newer shows and some of these newer movies, it's like, no.
They're sneaky.
They are, you know, and then, and they, you know, the old movies, you know, the old Lilo and like, I'll use Lilo and Stitch as an example. The old Lilo and Stitch was a certain kind of movie, and it had a certain tone, and it had a certain, you know, family values, and family's the most important thing. You don't leave family behind. And the live action one is not, you know what I mean? And so like, if you want to watch the old one and the old cartoon stuff, go for it. The new one, I mean, watch it, but it's not, you know, they don't need to keep interjecting all of these social issues into children's cartoons.
That's the new world, right?
Mm-hmm.
They always have to push something in there,
right?
You know, look, and I don't want to sound like I'm a horrible person or anything. It's like the LGBTQ,
right?
Every single show now has to push that,
right,
in it, whether it needs it or not, and it's just like everything else. They just force it down your throat,
right?
And I didn't like it when the Avengers closed up and they had to make it so that all the female characters were the hero of the day,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, because that's not what would really happen.
Right.
You know,
and
I'm not saying that the female characters weren't important.
Right.
What I'm saying is it wasn't just them that would have been there to save the day, right?
Right. And
it would be all of them.
Some of that, you know, like that's one of the things I watch out for is some of the but the the mid 2000s and up, the Nickelodeon and Disney sort of push. We grew up watching TV shows like Boy Meets World, where the parents were competent, normal, guiding human beings, and now every kid's show seems like the parents are incompetent and they can't. You know what I mean? The kids run the house and all this stuff, and that's just not good behavior. And I just don't need my daughter modeling that sort of behavior.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
You know what I mean? I mean, you got all these shows where the older brothers are raising nobody's married, nobody has family, parents are incompetent, the kids run the house, and this just doesn't align with the way that I raise my daughter.
Party of Five, it's like all those shows. It's like, this is not the real world.
Right.
It's not going to happen. The brother is not taking all your siblings and taking care of them. That's not the way it's going to happen. Right.
And I mean, Boy Meets World was a great show when we were younger. The Wonder Years, the Connors, or Roseanne back then.
Now that's true to life.
And what the parents were competent people. I mean, they worked hard. They did well. They did, guided their kids. I really enjoyed Boy Meets World. I wish they would make a show like that again, where the principal lives next door and he's a guiding figure, as teachers and principals should be in real life. And the teachers were helping the kids, and everybody was competent, and everybody were actual adults, as opposed to now where
idiots.
Yeah.
So Becky says, full-on Disney conspiracy theorist here. So I'm excited about this topic. So good morning, Becky. Glad you are here. Oh, you're going to have to see this top 5 today. I'm just letting you know now. You got to see it. Look, I mean, this all started with Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And it balloons into that. This is why we do this show, because there's a lot to be said out there. Next headline, Starbucks closes 2 Seattle stores amid restructuring and layoffs. Is there trouble in paradise?
I think there's been trouble for a while.
Like, I'm a little stunned by this, because it's like you don't hear of Starbucks closing, but now there's rumblings of all kinds of stuff, right?
Right. Well, I think the monopoly that they sort of had on the whole western part of the U.S. is deteriorating, with the Dunkin' Donuts expanding and some of these other major ones sort of getting national, as opposed to it just being Starbucks. Because I went through the airport, a month ago, and the couple airports I went through, there wasn't a Starbucks in the airport. It was something else, a Dunkin' Donuts kind of deal. And that, but we don't have a Starbucks here anyway. So, I mean, Starbucks is a long way from my heart, but you can't sustain that size charging those prices when you have a bunch of drive-through coffee shops in all small town America that are beating your prices, because all they got to do is just make sure that they're cheaper. And in my life, where I live, people are more apt to support local businesses and the local people that own the drive-through coffee shops.
I go down, like, I don't go to a Subway or anything like that. I go down to Marco's Subs, and he makes the best subs.
Mm-hmm.
Makes the best. You don't get just like one slice of ham and one slice of cheese. No, it is loaded, and it's such a great price, and I love it, and it's all fresh. You walk into a Subway, and it's like it's just sitting there all day.
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Becky says Starbucks is great, but I think I'd rather support local.
I think most people are sort of that way now.
Yeah, people are starting to look at things a little differently now, because the exorbitant prices that people are charging, it's a little out there.
Right. And I think people are starting to get a little more, obviously it's spooky season, so you have everybody with their pumpkin spice, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But I think a lot of people are starting to sort of, whether you agree with RFK and what he's trying to do with our food system and the way that our foods are and stuff is, and all of these things, I think people are starting to kind of wake up to how much sugar is in some of these Starbucks drinks and Dunkin' Donut drinks. And, you have the deal where whether you buy a large or a small, you're getting the same, fluid ounces in your cup. And so, you can't rob people and I mean, it's just not very good for you. I mean, I think people are tired of feeling sick and brain foggy because of all this sugar that they're eating.
That is one of the things that I like about what's happening with that. They are targeting those things, and I'm glad because, look, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm probably addicted to sugar content, right? And it's so hard not to fall into that. And I'm a true believer in you got to start with the kids first. And you got to let them grow up to be healthier.
Right.
So, so those with children, from day one, feed them healthy things.
Right.
It should all be about nutrition and actual nutrition, not necessarily what they're saying is in it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, when you have when you have the same cereal that's here as opposed to the same exact cereal in Canada, but their ingredients are completely different, that we're doing something wrong. Because, I mean, we are the most obese country on the planet, the most diabetic, the most unhealthy. And I think everybody needs to get this idea out of their head that all they need is some magic pill that'll fix all of these problems that they've been dumping on themselves for the last 20 years. There's no injection that's going to make you healthy, and there's no pill that's going to make you fit. It's time, energy, and motivate and moving, exercise. And so, but having tons of sugar in everything, whether it be soda or cereal or, school lunches, and then the colored dyes and all the sodium and all of these things. And I mean, back to Starbucks, I mean, everything they have is dumped full of sugar. It's way overpriced, and you can't sustain that big of a company, I would guess.
It's addicting.
If you have to have a certain amount of people going to it all the time. And when people are like, I'm not paying $12 for a coffee, then it's going to hurt the bottom line, because obviously the people on the board aren't going to take a pay cut. They're going to start cutting the fat at the bottom.
Right. Yeah. They never take the pay cut at the top.
Right.
So Becky says, as a Canadian, I love RFK. Canadian food isn't as bad as American. U.S. needs an overhaul. We absolutely do.
Right.
Overhaul in food and overhaul in education.
Right.
I think those are the biggest problems that this country has right now, despite its political arena.
Well, I think it's all just, I think we need an overhaul in all these bureaucracies where the plan, the in-between of what is supposed to be being done and then what is being done. There's a whole bunch of mucky water in the middle that is there just kicking up, dirt, making it impossible for the people at the bottom to align with what they're supposed to be doing from the top.
All right. The next headline, JP, Jimmy Kimmel ratings soar 343% in the return. And he also piled up 26 million views on YouTube for that episode as well. He is more... This completely backfired on those that wanted him gone. Completely
well, time will tell, because
it made him
it's like anything else, you know what I mean? Like whenever something gets a bunch of publicity and causes kind of a stir, You give it a month and he'll probably be back down to 160,000 viewers per episode, and they'll be losing $20 million an episode again. I mean, I don't particularly really care for the late night talk shows because I think they're all BS. And I think it's just, you get somebody on there to boast about whatever they're doing for 5 minutes, and then you poke fun at them, and none of the people are funny, and it's just not interesting to me. But I don't think anybody's really interested in it. I think everybody was interested in it to see what he was going to say and how he was going to present himself, and nothing more than that. I mean, he's having to pull in all of these in order to kind of try to build off whatever little bit of momentum that he's got all of a sudden. Now he's got to pull all of these like people that have these huge fan bases that aren't even really doing anything or have anything coming up. You know what I mean? I think I'd seen a blip where he's got Taylor Swift coming on there, and what's he going to talk to her about getting engaged to the football player? I mean, nobody really cares, but she has a mass amount of people that will come on there and just watch because she's going to be on it.
But JP, that aside, it doesn't really matter on the actual show. But what it did do is unite people against the system.
Right.
And they started boycotting, and Disney took a big hit, and they had to backtrack. And that is where I was going with this topic. I don't care about, the actual guy that's on the show. It doesn't matter, but what matters is that people just said, you know what, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it shouldn't happen. Whether you like Jimmy Kimmel or not, I'm personally a Jimmy Fallon fan, but the whole premise of those shows, their monologues, they do, the satire of whatever's in the public eye at that point. And politicians are fair game.
Right.
And it's always been like that, going back to Jack Parr before Johnny Carson. And, it is just a comedian poking fun. They do it to every single president known ever. Right? They do it. The court jester makes fun of the king. That's his job. Right. And now all of a sudden it's not okay. And that's the point that the people were making. And, they changed something, at least for a little while.
Yeah. Which is, it's all, I mean, nobody at Disney and nobody at Jimmy Kimmel cares about the viewers or what their opinions are or anything like that in reality, because I mean,
it's a tough
Disney fired the chick off the Mandalorian just for saying Republican stuff and talking about a president and this and that, you know what I mean? But they didn't bring her back because it didn't push it didn't align with them. You know what I mean? They had enough people to be able to put him back on because he was saying what that aligns with their, type of mentality, behavior, thought process, this and that, and all that stuff. I mean, but
it's going to be
it's a wild time because, everybody, we have freedom of speech, but there's no freedom of consequences for your speech. You know what I mean? And so like, but it was really wild watching all of these, like, people trying to get, doing all this stuff to Disney to get him back on the air. And it's like, I thought, I remember him from the Man Show, just doing the most offensive stuff that if he did any of that now, all the people that are supporting him would turn on him. You know what I mean? I mean, he used to dress up like Karl Malone.
Yeah, I mean, it is, it's going to be an adventure the next couple of years for sure.
Right.
All right. So you are watching us live on Kick, YouTube, and Rumble at Rhode Island Broadcasting. So if you're on YouTube, please, by all means, click that little bell so you always know that we're live. You can also watch us on Twitch at RI_broadcasting. So if you're watching us live on Twitch, and there is people watching us live on Twitch right now, you can donate some bits. So just put in a couple of bits. Put in 4 bits, and that way me and JP can each put us 2 cents in. Simple as that. If you want to listen to us on all of our audio platforms, Spotify, Red Circle, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio at RI Broadcasting and Red Circle, you can also donate on there. So help us out, make the show grow and become something massive, so that way we can dictate, what people view in the world rather than just Disney. So we're competing with Disney. Come on, folks. All right. Follow us on all our social media, including Parler, Space Hey, Gab, MeWe, TikTok, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and of course Patreon, where you can get these awesome mugs. So support the show at RI Broadcasting. You can also follow us on our Twitter/X at Broadcasting RI, whatever you want to call it. Elon Musk. Oh, that was another headline I happened to see, but I didn't really want to mention it. But Elon Musk and Prince Andrew were supposedly named in this the Epstein files. Interesting. I don't know how true that is. I don't know.
I mean, there's
they actually released the stuff. I don't care.
Even if they did release a list or say that it came from these files or blah 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 blah, I don't necessarily believe, trust, or government officials and alternative, you know what I mean? Who knows what's real? I mean, I think that the victims who are coming out and saying that they had interactions with this person are more believable than anybody that's connected to our government that's saying this is the list.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And I mean, the guy did actually weasel his way into a lot of different businesses. And so people had business relationships with him that had nothing to do with the deviant stuff going on underneath. You know what I mean? Like the guy that he was in a, the chick was a daughter of a huge developer in New York. So obviously Trump knew them people because he's also a big developer in New York. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have overlaps of people that had nothing, you know what I mean? Not everybody was like Stephen Hawking down there rolling around. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter. We're never going to know. So get that out of your heads if anybody thinks that they're ever really going to know anything. You can also go to the Going On Daily Morning Show Facebook page. You can go there, follow us. We want to be able to go live on there, so we have to have a certain amount of followers. So get on there and share it to your friends, so that way we can go live on Facebook once again. And you can also complain about Mark like yanking Rhode Island Broadcasting from their pages. So, and you can go support the show at RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net, where you can find all this information on. You can save your trouble and just go there to the website, and there, if you want, you can also donate there. And Mark, if you want to make it up to us, donate $10 million, because we can take a $10 million donation on the website. So I'm looking forward to your cash, Mark Zuckerberg.
I wish.
You can also vote, and we've only got a few days left. What is today? Today is the 27th, so there's only 3 more days after today that you can vote for the Hall of Fame list Grease, Jaws, Rocky, Saturday Night Fever, and The Godfather. It will then switch off to something else. And I believe it'll be TV shows after that. So vote for one of them. Grease is still out in front. Still out in front. So if you're a Jaws, Rocky, Saturday Night Fever, who has no votes, or The Godfather, you got to get there and support your movie, because one of them will be in the Going On Daily Hall of Fame to join the Beatles. Beatles were the first ones in. All right. Let us move on to the next topic. That is A River Runs Through It.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're keeping with the tourist, traveling area, Montana, the Rocky Mountains, and everything that I've spoken about before. And then with the passing of Robert Redford, which I think is a lot sadder than maybe some of the other deaths that have been over the last few years, as far as, Robert Redford, Paul Newman, some of these guys who were staples of how human beings should live, and also super, talented in their fields, whether it be acting or directing or writing. But, there was the movie, and it's set in Montana, but the movie was off of a book. Robert Redford directed the movie and narrated it as John McClane, or Norman McClane, looking back through his life, John McClane. And but the book was written by Norman McClane, and it was called The River Runs Through It. He wrote it in 1976. They say it's a semi-autobiographical or autobiographical, novella. And then he published the book at age 73. Settings in the early 20th century Montana, mostly Missoula and the surrounding wilderness. The story follows the two brothers growing up, in 1920 during Prohibition, during two preachers' kids that were just wild, time, because there was no electricity, there was not running water, there was no, and in reality, Montana had just barely quit being a territory. This is early, because the Montana territory, Montana wasn't a state when a lot of the West Coast were states. The opening line of the book is one of the most quoted in American literature. In our family, there was no clear line between religion and fly fishing. And then, obviously the movie starred Brad Pitt, Craig Schaefer, Tom Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt, man, he was so good.
Mm-hmm. But it's if you want to see the beauty of Montana, because the river, the wilderness, the area, they filmed a lot of it a little bit farther south than Missoula. They weren't actually on the Blackfoot River. But it's a good representation of seeing what the Rocky Mountains hold, and the rivers, and the way that the people lived, and why Montana, the mentality of the people here is still the way it is. They go to work and take care of your family and religion, and, find something that you enjoy and inspires you, and these sorts of things. But it's one of my favorite movies. It's
the way of life is still relatively the same, just
right,
with some modern technology.
Right. And Robert Redford narrating it throughout the movie. You don't have a better voice as a narrator in any movie. Yeah,
he's a legend, and that was a big one. And we raved here on this channel about like Gene Hackman and stuff like that. doesn't compare to Redford.
Right.
Doesn't compare, because just who Robert Redford was and the things that he's done throughout his life. I mean,
Right.
he wasn't. He was just like us.
Right. But he was a wonderful human being in all occurrences that I've ever heard anybody else speak about him. I mean,
yeah,
really patient, really polite, super respectful. I think him and his wife were married for 40, 50 years. I mean, there was no scandals. There was no substance abuse problems. There was no car accidents. I mean, and he lived a really normal life outside of being a movie star. I mean, him and Tommy Lee Jones. I know Tommy Lee Jones is the same way. He's had a couple 1,000-acre ranch in Texas for the last 60 years. And if somebody wanted him to go do a movie, they had to go spend a week on his ranch working cattle and stuff with him. And I mean,
yeah, I think Samuel L. Jackson is kind of like that as well. He's been married to the same woman his whole time.
Yeah.
And you don't see him out partying anywhere. And those are the stars that you really, gravitate towards because of those reasons, because they're just like us. They're not living this lifestyle, like a Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or something like that. But yet they were those leading guys back then.
Right.
And it just makes you feel a little better about, parts of the industry that are really dark for the most part.
I mean, Paul Newman was a great guy, I think. There's been quite a few of them. But also, I mean, like, you don't get any cooler than Robert Redford in, late 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, between Jeremiah Johnson, God, I watched that movie so many times, and then you had really, where he was, I'm glad that the younger generation got to see him a little bit through the couple Marvel movies that he was in, but
yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. And you mentioned Jeremiah Johnson. I just watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids a couple of days ago. And Jeremiah Johnson, I actually have queued up to watch because I'm a big Western fan, and I'm always looking for a good Western. And that was a great Western.
Yeah.
So, so I plan on watching that one again. Look, I mean, the book, the movie. I mean, Robert Redford did a great job doing that movie.
Right. And it won an Oscar.
It did.
For
and deservedly so.
Right. For the cinema, I think it says the cinematography.
Yes. So that's just basically, capturing the landscape and everything, that you're seeing visually.
Mm-hmm. And then it was also nominated for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yes. And being nominated means it probably should have won because it always goes to somebody that generally might not.
Yeah, sometimes.
Usually they push a certain thing just to push that because of some agenda.
Right.
Didn't have
and it's whoever, and could be whoever buys it because, I mean, award shows are they're just boasting each other. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like the fans are voting that, actual people are voting. It's sort of like getting into the Hall of Fame for sports. You got sports writers that are putting people in there, not numbers or fans or votes. You know what I mean? It's sports writers,
This is why we're doing the Going On Daily Hall of Fame. And just like we do with the Sports Unfolded, the people are voting on it. And that's what belongs in the Hall of Fame is the people that are voting.
Right.
They believe that their they should be in, and that's who should be in. It shouldn't be some schmo because just that's what they want because the writers like them.
Right. If you played the part the way that and gave all the sports writers what they wanted when they wanted it while you were playing, then you would get a better shot at getting the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? And all these different things. And that's just not, your accomplishments should put you in the Hall of Fame, not your popularity with the sports writing industry,
Right. Yeah, because look, Red Sox fans here know through history when you get these people in the Hall of Fame and then all of a sudden Jim Rice has better numbers than them and he can't get in because he didn't like talking to the press.
Right.
That's wrong.
Right.
Like, I can see if he did something wrong.
Right.
Because I think as a person, if you're in the Hall of Fame, you have to conduct yourselves properly.
Right.
You can't like murder people and expect to be in there, right?
Right.
And so you have to be great on the field, and I think you have to be at least a decent person off the field.
Well, right. And the only guy that I can think of off the top of my head that didn't really like doing the press thing and didn't really like doing the interviews and all of that kind of stuff was Jeter. You know what I mean? He was pretty introverted, he didn't really like doing the shows and doing those, the sound bites and all those things. But you still had that one sports writer that was like, I'm going to be different and not put him on the first ballot Hall of Fame. Whether, he's in the top 10 for every statistic you can basically be in except for home runs. But I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's only got 5 World Series rings. You know what I mean? It's just like,
well, that's the thing. It's like, I'm a Red Sox fan, and I think Jeter signifies what a baseball player is.
Right. He was always professional. He was a grinder. He didn't need to showboat. He kept his head down. And you're on a whole nother level when you're in the biggest rivalry in any sports, and all Red Sox fans are like, I hate the Yankees, but Jeter's cool. You know what I mean? Like, they all respected Jeter. You didn't have Red Sox fans hating Jeter.
No.
Unless they beat the Red Sox in the playoffs, and it was Jeter's hit or something like that. But you definitely didn't want him coming to the plate in the postseason.
I remember the play that he made. And I think you know what play I'm talking about.
Giambi, probably.
Running over and crashed over the wall. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one too. When he split his head wide open. And
right. Now, as a Red Sox fan, that happened against the Red Sox.
Right.
And all I could say is like, wow, he's so good.
Yeah, and that was early in the season, I think, wasn't it?
And I'm like, I wish he was in Boston. I wish he was in Boston. I guess that is the player that you can't help but love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I remember when they were talking about all these shortstops. It was A-Rod, Jeter, Gashapara, Miguel Tejada, and they were all like debating whether or not who was best. It's not even a question to me. It was Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
It wasn't
all around. Sure, Garcia Parra probably had more range than maybe the other ones. Tejada had a better arm than the other ones. A-Rod hit a lot of home runs and he hit for power. But if you're talking about, there's probably not Jeter is one of a handful of baseball players that you would actually want to build a team around, because he's going to make everybody better, and everybody's going to have that work ethic, and everybody's going to have that mentality. And the reason that, he won was because of things he was doing in and around the field, but on average, in all aspects of playing baseball in his position, I don't think there was a lot of guys on his level.
He had one thing that the others did not have. Clutch.
Yeah. But he was smart. He was baseball smart. He knew where to position himself. He knew where the ball needed to go. He was always in a good position to make a play, or at least put himself. He always had himself in the position to be able to be clutch or to be in the right spot. You know,
I don't even know how we got here. I have no idea. It must be this Saturday aura, because Ira and Lena always go off on tangents.
Right.
It's gotta be in the air, right? But it's so awesome. Wow, Derek Jeter's he's got to be on my short list of greatest of all baseball players outside of Boston for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not even baseball players. I mean, athletes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Out of all the team sports, he might be on that short list.
And
more of players
I
like on other teams.
Yeah. And to tie it back into the original topic we were talking about, Jeter in his everyday life was a Robert Redford style man's man who lived a great life, because you're talking about a guy who played 20 years of Major League Baseball in New York City as a single bachelor, was engaged a bunch of times, dated a bunch of these different models and actresses and all these different things. And you never had these scandals, and you never had these people come out and say that he did these crazy things.
You didn't know who he was dating half the time, because
but I mean, even years later, I mean, nobody's came out and said that he was a horrible boyfriend or beat them or you know, he never hit anybody with a car or never, you know, I mean, nothing like that. I mean, and that's pretty rare to find somebody that lives in that kind of a spotlight, single, or, you know, dating for 20 years and never have anybody come out and try to do something to tarnish their reputation.
All right, we got to get going, because, I mean, we got like 13 minutes left of the show, and we still have 2 topics to go to.
Yeah.
Montana Native American legends.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, I mean,
are you talking about the actual Native American, or the legends that they you know, spiritually and stuff like that?
It'd be like the Native American legends and stories from tribes in the Montana territory,
like the Crow and everything.
The Crow, Blackfeet, the Kootenai. So like with spooky season, you know, I mean, it's always fun to hear some of the spooky season stuff, you know. But some of the examples of the legends and stories from different tribes that were in the Montana territory, or because there was a lot here, you know, there was a lot more different tribes than in this area between the Great Plains and the mountains.
It's a big state.
It is. And then you had the, you know. Mm-hmm. But it was lush. It's lush still. You know, you have the fish in the rivers, and you have the mountains, and you have all the elk and the antelope and the deer, and there was food, and there was, you know, the winters get hard, but you're not beating the territory. You know, it's not like living in the desert where you may see an animal once a month. But one of the Blackfeet, they have the creation of the world. In Blackfeet stories, Old Man Napai is a cultural hero and trickster. He shaped the mountains, rivers, plants, animals, teaching people how to live. Legends say he created the Sweet Grass Hills, north central Montana, by carrying rocks in his robe and spilling them there. The Crow have the sacred tobacco plant. Tobacco is sacred to the Crow, who say it was given to them by the Creator to ensure survival. Their ancestral homeland near the Big Horn Mountain and River is central to the story. The sacred ceremonies honor his gift. The Salish and Kootenai Coyote and Bitterroot Valley. The Salish tell many coyote stories. Coyote shaped the rivers, rid mountains of monsters, and prepared the land for hunt humans. In one legend, the coyote spread bitterroot across the valley, which became a staple food and sacred plant. The Northern Cheyenne. The Cheyenne have stories of the morning star, Esahe, who plays a role in the creation and guidance. They connect to the stars and sky to life on Earth, tying their identity to both land and the cosmos. So that's one of the, the origins of like the star people. Right. And then many legends explain the origins of landmarks, the Sweetgrass Hills, Blackfeet, created by Old Man. Beartooth Mountain, the Crow, said it to be the footprint or remains of a great bear. Flathead Lake, the Salish and Kootenai, tied the stories of a monster the coyote defeated. And so, I mean, every culture has some sort of legends, stories that have been passed down, whether it be the Vikings with the Norse gods or, the Greeks with the Greek gods, or, I'm sure even if you go to Australia and talk to the Aborigines, that they have tons of
Asian
lores.
Well.
Right. But, the difference between, the difference between Native American and a lot of the other cultures is the way that their legends, gods were compared to, it wasn't, you worship the land. The land was the god. And, the coyote, the trickster, or the wolf, or the fox, or, whatever spirit animal that tribe. Right. One of the tribes in South Dakota, theirs is a turtle, that shaped the world and did all that stuff. And
Hopi. I know that because when I worked for Vision Quest and we take kids out of the city life, from crime and all that, they get put in these programs, and we actually had the Native Americans. I lived in a teepee for a year.
Right.
And we had each teepee was named a different thing, and mine was Hopi, which was about the turtle, and we had Chickasaw, we had oh my god, I can't remember. Hopi, Chickasaw. It's the only two I can remember right now. I'll know it if I hear it, but it was all based on Native American cultures and and spirituality and all of that stuff. So we dealt with a lot of that.
Right.
And frankly, if there's a way of life that I would have loved to have been part of, it would have been the Native American culture.
Right. Well, and
it's just kind of a beauty of its own.
It is. And even when the settlers and the Oregon Trail, and even before that, when the explorers were trying to get the East Coast to the West Coast to figure out how big this landmass was and all that stuff, the people who were taken hostage by Indian tribes, not all, but a lot of Indian tribes, and assimilated into the tribes, never wanted to, when the opposite isn't the same. When the Indian children or Indian people were taken to be colonized or, made white, basically, they were constantly trying to run back to their tribes. So that says something about the way of life. Yeah. You know what I mean? The reason that the Europeans or whites or, Spanish or whoever didn't want to leave once they assimilated into the Indian culture, as opposed to the Indians or Native Americans really fighting to go back to their culture, says a lot about their way of life compared to our way of life, even knowing we had more technology and numbers to force our way of life on them. I still don't think they want the Western culture way of life. I think that they would all prefer to go back to the way that it was still.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I would like to go back to that because I think that is just, I don't know. It's just more peaceful in mind.
Right.
I mean,
I think when you talk about I think when everybody talks about spirituality, I think true spirituality is Indian or Native American culture.
Absolutely. 100%.
But they waste nothing. Everybody's there for it. It's a very,
if you kill an animal,
them and the Amish, you know what I mean? Like the Amish, when we were talking about the Amish, it's the same kind of thing. I live in a very small community, and there's still a great sense of community, and everybody looks out for each other. And the things that make my home feel like home, as opposed to a big metropolitan city where you live in a building and you don't know your neighbors. Yeah. But then you go a step farther when you get into these other communities like the Amish and the Native Americans, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and there's just so many tribes in that area. There was the Sioux.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of them. Probably around 10 different tribes at least.
If you mix in Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, I mean, you're probably in the dozens.
Right. Yeah.
Because you got Cheyenne, you have, I think there's probably 10 in Montana.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I know there was quite a few of them in that area, and I'll tell you, I would love to just go back in time just to see what it was like for them.
Yeah.
Even if you're just like a fly on a wall, just kind of just watch and learn. We could have learned so much from that culture, and we wouldn't have been as uptight as we are now as a culture.
Right. And I think we still can. I mean, if I would say to anybody to be curious about the cultures and the people and everything, even locally to where you are, whether you're in Oklahoma or Florida. I mean, it's not like the Native Americans were only in the northwest part of the country. They were all over the place. Yeah, and you can be curious to anybody else's thoughts and feeling, be more curious and less, stubborn about your beliefs being right, because that's what I don't see anything has changed since the settler times imposing their will on the Native Americans compared to what's going on a lot of times now.
Yeah. Oh, such a great topic, JP. I have loved learning about Montana like you would not believe. It quite possibly could be the state that I want to visit the most. It really is.
It's big. I mean, it'll take some time.
Oh yeah. But I love nature and all of that stuff, and that is right up my alley. I probably should have been born there.
Well, everybody, yeah. I mean, my grandpa was a government trapper, and so we'd spend a lot of time in doing that stuff. Hunting, fishing. Lived in a small town in the mountains in Central Oregon, that kind of stuff. And even for me, moving from a small area of unpopulated logging community in Central Oregon to here, it was still moving back in time to me 20 years. And so to a lot of people, if you come here, you're going to feel like you're moving back in time about 50 years because it's a slow paced life. People just get up and go to work, take care of their families and do what they do. And it's a very old style mindset.
Yeah. All right, JP, we are running out of time. It is already, at the 1 hour mark, but we're going to do this anyway because I don't want to not do this. Ron's top 5 songs with Saturday in title. Of course, today is Saturday night special, considering we are filling in for Lena and JP. I mean, Lena and Ira. Saturday Night Special was the title of the episode, but will it make the top 5 songs? Now, there are tons of songs for Saturday. Kid Rock, whether you love him or hate him. God Bless Saturday. I actually like his music. I don't know if he's that great of a person, but you know what? I don't know him. I don't hang out with him. So, but I like his music. Saturday Night Fever. Kenny is going to be so mad that song is not in my top 5. It's not even an honorable mention. I basically don't like the Bee Gees. Don't like them. Frank Sinatra, Saturday Night. It Always Rains on Saturday by Reba McEntire. There was a song I listened to today, and I really liked it. Saturday Morning, and I don't know how he does his name. It is EE:*S. I don't know what that is. But it's the first time I ever heard the song. I played it because I didn't know what it was. And it was actually a pretty good song. Very catchy, great melody. There was a horrible song that I also listened to, Saturday Nights by the Underdog Project. That was terrible, JP. Terrible. One more Saturday Night, Grateful Dead. When Saturday Comes, Def Leppard. Mel McDaniel, Louisiana Saturday Night. I actually kind of liked it in a weird kind of way. It was like bluegrass kind of thing. Dave Edmonds, Almost Saturday Night. Oliver Cheatham, Get Down Saturday Night, and it sounds exactly like it says. Like it's that 70s funk. Get down.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this Get Down Saturday Night? And I clicked it and I'm like, oh, okay. Another song I liked that didn't make my list, American Saturday Night by Brad Paisley.
Mm-hmm.
And The Cure, 10:15 Saturday Night. Bon Jovi, Someday I'll Be Saturday Night. I didn't really care for it. And I like Bon Jovi, but I didn't care for that one. The Monkees, Saturday's Child. I did not like that one either, and I'm a Monkees fan. Bowling for Soup had Saturday. Not good. Not good. But I'll tell you, I got a good list. I think I got a good list here. Honorable mention. Saturdays by Chevelle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Chevelle?
I do.
It's a good song. I like it. It's got some oomph to it.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So, people are like, who the heck is Chevelle? If you like, heavier songs, little bit of, I
angst.
should say a lot of guitars.
Right.
From angst. Saturdays by Chevelle is really good. Really good. I also have honorable mention Saturday Night by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an Earth, Wind, and Fire song, you probably like every song. And I'm a fan of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I like the song. So, great song. Here's a great one. I love this song. Saturday Night by the Misfits.
Mm-hmm.
Great song. And it's constantly on all the lists out there, too, in like the top 10.
Right.
And it's on my top 10 as well. So, I love the song. And of course, Bay City Rollers, Saturday Night. Love the song. It's humorous. in a way, but I like it. You know, the SATURDAY.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just
Hey,
wanna
hey.
make sure you knew it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my bubble song. Yep, Saturday. Yeah, Becky. Oh, get ready, get ready. My bubble song is Hal Ketchum's "Small Town Saturday Night." Now, I originally had this in my top 5, and then an epiphany happened, and I remembered number 5, Ludacris, Saturday. Oh, oh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Remember that?
Yeah.
Ludacris? Are you a Ludacris fan, JP? You don't strike me as a Ludacris fan.
Some of them, some of the songs. I like him. I like him as an actor. Some of his songs. But
You're more of a hard rock kind of guy. Like country.
I mean, good music's good music. Most, I would say, I'm more conscious nowadays about what I'm allowing myself to be brainwashed and conditioned with. And so if I know that certain lyrics aren't going to align with the way that I live my life or want to view life, then I typically don't listen to it. And a lot of the rap and the R&B doesn't align with my life or lifestyle or life choices, that kind of stuff. But lately I've been more into like I've been listening to a lot more like folky kind of music the last few years. But also like outlaw type country, like country that they don't play on the radio. That is kind of my jam, but I listen to a lot of the Rat Pack too. So, I mean, it just kind of depends on what my mood's saying.
That sounds interesting. So Becky, number 5 is Saturday by Ludacris. So Ludacris did make my list. Just saying, Becky. Luda. Number 4. In fact, it did make the list. Saturday Night Special by Leonard Skinner. Like when I was younger growing up, I mean, it was like that was one of the bands that was very prevalent with me and my friends. Primarily Freebird and Sweet Home Alabama and stuff like that. But Saturday Night Special was a great song also. Number 3, I have Sam Cooke way down on the other side over there. Another Saturday Night. He was such a great talent. That song was even remade, I believe, by
Cat Stevens.
Oh, Cat Stevens, that's what it was. Yeah, Cat Stevens. And he did a good job of it too. That could have actually made the top 10 as well. But I didn't want to take away from Sam Cooke's version, so I excluded Cat Stevens. But he did a great job by all means. Number 2, I have Chicago, Saturday in the Park. Love that song. It's such a great song. You know, and I don't think it was really close between 2 and 3. Like, I really like that song. I think that's a great song. But number 1 is Elton John's "Saturday Night Is All Right for Fighting."
Right.
That was classic Elton John. Back in the day when he was around 70s, there was nothing better than Elton John's 70s in his career.
Yeah, in 1973.
He was so good back then. When he was a rock musician. You know, this adult contemporary version of Elton John is a shell of himself, what he used to be.
Right.
You know? So, love that song. So that is the top 5 Saturday songs. Let me tell you, there was a lot of them that were just horrible.
Right.
There was a lot of them. And it was at the point where, because I was running out of time and I needed to do something, and I'm listening to some of these songs and I'm like, okay, no. And it was like, it after like the first like 10, 15 seconds, on whether
Right.
the song is good enough. And it'll be like, nope.
There was one from a few years ago, 2018 or so. Saturday Sun by Vance Joy. It was a big song, but it was he's indie modern kind of. I mean, it was a big song, but it was a cool. I mean, it's a good song. I had to search a list too. I didn't realize that John Denver had a Saturday afternoon song.
Yeah, there was a lot of them that I didn't know. And it's eye-opening. There's like 100+ songs with Saturday in it.
Yeah, but a lot of them are probably disco type songs because a
lot of them were.
Yeah.
A lot of them were those 70s disco funk kind of things. And, no. Like Bay City Rollers is as disco-ish that I could have put in.
Mm-hmm.
If Casey and the Sunshine Band had a Saturday song, I'd probably listen to it and see what happens. But other than that, I'm not. No.
The Grateful Dead had one.
Yeah.
The Monkees.
Yeah, David Bowie had one.
Dwight Yoakam. Travis Tritt.
Yeah. I like Travis Tritt too. I didn't know he had one. I didn't see that. I would have listened to that if I did. I mean, there was another one, Rebecca Black and Dave Days. Wasn't making the list.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to do like the top 50 with Saturday in the title, and there's only a handful that I even recognize. I mean, I recognize the people, but I don't necessarily recognize the song, so I don't even know if they were released as singles.
Yeah, they would not they probably weren't released as singles. Not all of them were singles, and I would actually venture to say that most of them aren't released as singles.
Well, that Saturday Night Special was, I'm sure.
Oh, that one definitely was. Yeah. The ones in my top 5 were released as singles. And then there was also like Bay City Rollers was a single.
Mm-hmm.
Earth, Wind and Fire was not, but it's a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the only one. I mean, did Chevelle really release singles? I mean, I don't know if they really had singles.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure if the Misfits was a single. Because that's a different style of music that.
Yeah.
It's just, you gotta know it.
Usually.
You gotta know it. So.
But they were also the types where you would, either download or buy the whole album and then just let it play through, because that's the kind of music that those guys make, because all the songs seem to kind of roll into the next song. I mean, you can listen to the whole CD or whole album and not really, if it didn't pause that couple seconds in between the songs, you wouldn't even really know that it was switching.
Right. And a lot of times you get bands that just bleed it into the next song.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's who's that music artist? Was it Morrissey that did that? Like, probably. It was all like one continuation. Somebody did that, and I can't remember. I thought it was Morrissey. I could be wrong. It could be somebody totally different. But so yeah, that is Saturdays, and I got to listen to a lot of music today. So they all had the word Saturday in it, and but I did play Becky. I did play Ludacris twice just for you. All right, so that is it for us today on this great Saturday. It is beautiful out here in New England. Yeah. Tomorrow, I am back again after four episodes I've been on this week out of 6. And now Sunday, starting a new week, I'm on again. It's going to be me and Kenny So tomorrow we will find out what the frequency is with Kenneth. Remember that song, REM? So Kenny and I will be here tomorrow. I cannot wait. He would have hated today's top 5 because Saturday Night Fever wasn't in it. So, Kenny, that was for you, just for you. So I cannot wait for tomorrow, 10 a.m., 8 Mountain Time, and of course 7 on the other side of the country. So be here tomorrow morning at 10 live. JP, thank you for being here. Becky, thank you for being there as well. Have a great day, everybody.